जय श्री राम। जय श्री राम।
जय श्री
जय श्री राम।
जय श्री राम.
व्हेरी गुड.
जय श्री कृष्ण.
Namaskar everybody.
नमस्कार.
नमस्कार. नमस्कार.
मला वाटतं आपण म्यूट वर टाकून द्या विक्रमदादा सगळ्यांना आणि
Okay.
पण विक्रमदादांना मोस्ट ऑफ अस नो हिम फ्रॉम आवर लास्ट लेक्चर. डॉक्टर विक्रम दादा म्हणतो आम्ही त्यांना. ही इज व्हेरी वेल स्टडीड ऑन भगवद गीता आणि ही गाइड अस आणि सो मेनी लेक्चर्स. So today we asked him if he can guide us on meaning of Ram Raksha, especially for kids also, for parents also. So I will hand over it to Vikram Dada and please enlighten us.
Thank you very much, Pramod and team, for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be here because today happens to be a historic day for all of us. Today in India, the foundation for the Ram temple at Ayodhya was laid by our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. This is a historic occasion because the site where the temple is going to be built has been under dispute for a very long time. In fact, at that very location, there used to be a huge temple which was broken down, and a worship center for another faith was built on top of that. After centuries of trying to get that site restored and the temple built at that location, because at that location, the physical Ram was born. So that location happens to be extremely important for all of us who have faith in Ram and who worship Ram as the incarnation of the divine. And this is a very, very important day from that point of view for all of us. And not just for people in India who live in India, but for people who have faith in Ram all over the world. Now, this faith in Ram is basically faith in the divine principle, which was embodied in Prabhu Ramachandra, whom we considered as the seventh incarnation of Vishnu. All right. Now, the word Ram itself is a mantra. In fact, if we chant the Ram mantra, just by chanting the Ram mantra, one can be liberated. You see, Ram is an incarnation of Vishnu or Narayana, and Vishnu is worshipped by various people by 1,000 names. All right. So 1,000 names is a bit too difficult for all of us to remember. So in today's age, all we do is shorten everything, right? So initially, just imagine our computers used to take up an entire building, all right, the mainframe. Then they got miniaturized. The entire building worth of computer can be in your chip these days, is it not? So the legend goes like this. Lord Shiva is teaching his wife Parvati. They used to have a lot of spiritual conversations. That's the legend. So one time Parvati asked Shiva, she said, this 1,000 names of Vishnu, this is a bit too long. So can you give me a short form? Can you give me a formula? So that formula is actually given or mentioned in the very last verse of this entire Ramaraksha Stotram, right? It says Rama Rameti Rameti Ramo Rame Manorame Sahasranama Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. So if we can recite just this one shlok, this one shlok is equivalent to reciting the entire 1,000 words of Vishnu. All right. Now the legend or the story behind this is even more interesting. See, the Valmiki Ramayana, the entire story of Ram was written by the sage Valmiki. this was 100 crores, which is 1 billion. Okay, because we don't know crores here, right? So 1 billion. All right. So this 1 billion Ram Charitra or Ramayan, people like us, the Manavas, the people who are higher than us, the gods or the deities, and the people who are lower than us, the Rakshasas or Danavas, all of them wanted this entire Ramayana. So, how to divide this? They all went to Shiva. Or Shiva knew all this. Okay, so Shiva, they went to Shiva. Shiva said, okay, I can divide this equally amongst all of you. So how do you divide a billion into 3? So if you divide the billion into 3, at the end, one verse will be left over, right? Because 999 million and then 999,000 and then 999, all of these will be divided equally in 3. The deities, the devatas, the manavas and the danavas. So this was the division. So after this division, one verse was left over. Now that one verse had 32 aksharas or individual letters. So he divided them also. Then what happened? He could divide 30 equally. And then after that, 2 letters were left over. He said that I will divide this entire Ramayana equally amongst all of you. But then whatever is left over, I will keep. If that's okay with you, you get all 333 million plus and I will keep just 2. They said that's a deal. Why not? So then at the end, the 2 letters out of this last verse that was divided, those 2 letters were Ram. So then he kept those letters with him and he started meditating on those 2 letters. Because those 2 letters are the heart of this entire Ramayana, right? See, when we say Ram has many connotations, especially in Marathi, which is our mother tongue. He says, if somebody has left his body, then we say, there is no Ram in this body. Or there is no Ram in something means there is no life in something. That's what we say, Ram, right? So this Ram is a very powerful mantra by itself. I'll tell you a story about that also. So Shiva kept these 2 letters, Rama, and then he started meditating. And he kept meditating for a long, long time. Now these 3 groups of people, the Devatas, Manava and Danava, they sat there waiting. What is this secret? We want to find out. But this fellow started meditating and he forgot the, time, what time it was. So eventually all of these left. But there was one fellow who kept sitting there. Because he knew that there is some secret and I should sit here until he comes out of meditation, then I'll ask him. So that person's name was Buddha Kaushik. So seeing Buddha Kaushik Rishi's dedication, Lord Shiva, his heart melted. And then in his dream, Lord Shiva told him this entire Rama Raksha Stotram. Right? And then when he woke up, Buddha Kaushika, from his sleep, from his dream, then he wrote down as it is. And this whole Rama Raksha Stotra came about. All right. Now this is not just Stotra. Stotra means you are praising somebody. So this Stotra is a praise of Lord Ram. Okay. And it is also a mantra. So mantra means what? If we chant this mantra, then that mantra itself can liberate us. All right. So that is why chanting of this Rama mantra or Rama Raksha Stotra is very important. Forget about this Rama Raksha Stotra. Just remember the word Ram. Okay. Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanani. Right. So Ram, what does Ram mean? See, Ra, when you say Ra, Ra means when you are saying Ra, you are blowing air out of your system, right? Along with that Ra, all of our Papa or all of our sins are exhaled. And then you say Ma. So when you say Ram, so when you say Ma, then your mouth will get shut, right? But then you shut your mouth and nothing else goes back into your system. So that's how Ram will liberate us from our sins, is what people believe. Which is true or not, you find out for yourself. I'm just telling you some stories behind this whole thing. Another important thing about this word Ram, or the letters, or the sound Ram, if you chant the word Ram, 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 see, it clears our vocal system or vocal apparatus. One time, this is a story in America. One child who was born in America, he could not really pronounce the letter R. Because see, the way we pronounce R, most American people don't. And in fact, our children also, if they are not used to pronouncing that letter, they will not really be able to pronounce it right. So when we pronounce the letter R or the letter R, that R itself is able to purify our speech. Vani Shuddhi it is called. All right. So this boy who was born here, he could not speak properly. All right. So his grandparents brought the Ram Raksha, or a recording of the Ram Raksha. This was a few years ago, before the internet age. So they brought a CD or a cassette tape from India, and they used to play that every day. Unbelievably, within 4 weeks, this little child who was not able to speak properly at all, he was able to recite the Rama Raksha, and his speech got purified. And he was able to speak very well thereafter. So that is the power of just chanting this thing. And I can believe completely, because you see, in every shlok, there is the pronunciation of Ra. Every shlok. All right. So if you recite these 37, 38 shlok, by that itself, our Vani will get Shuddha. I'll tell you another story of how Ramanam is even more powerful. It's a mantra, and this mantra is beyond time and space. Okay. The physical Ram was born in Treta Yuga, and then after that, he passed away and things like that. So many yuga, Treta Yuga has gone, then Dwapara Yuga has gone, and now we are in Kali Yuga, right? So forget about this time scale and all that. How is Ram relevant today? How is this Ram mantra relevant today? About, I would say, 100 or 125 years ago, there used to be a saint by the name Sri Gondavalekar Maharaj in a place called Gondavale. It's a very small town near south of Pune. All right. So this Gondavalekar Maharaj was a Rama Bhakt. So he chanted Ram Naam all the time, and he even gave this Ram Naam as a diksha to many of his disciples, and a lot of people, including my father, who happens to be here, he has taken that diksha and he chants Ram Naam all the time. So the mantra is Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, the Tera Akshari mantra. So this mantra is also liberating for us. So anyhow, this Gondavalekar Maharaj and one of his disciples, they decided to go to Banaras, Varanasi, Kashi. And those days, you had to simply walk. So they started from Gondavale, they started walking. So the way they would do is they would walk for a few miles, then they would stop in a village, stay there either in a temple or wherever they could find some place to sleep, and then they start again and then walk some more and then go further. So it would take a couple, 3 months to go to Kashi, Varanasi. So along the way, there is a place called Omkareshwar. Now this Omkareshwar is a holy place, sacred place in the middle of Narmada river, okay, just south of Indore. Many people might have been there. So at this Omkareshwar, there was a cave in which Gondavalekar Maharaj and his disciple wanted to go stay and spend the night. So they went there. So once they went there, they found that there was a yogi sitting there in meditation. And once these two people entered the cave, his meditation broke. So he came out of samadhi. And the first thing he asked, out of the blue, these people did not even expect, they did not even know who this person was, how long he was meditating and all that. And then he said, has Ram taken birth already? So Gondalekar Maharaj could not understand. He says, what do you mean? He says, no, I have been sitting in this meditation, and in my meditation, I got an insight that Prabhu Ramachandra is going to be born, and I would love to take his darshan, and then I will leave my body. I'm waiting for that. So then Gondalekar Maharaj was wondering. He said, Maharaj, you have been waiting since before the birth of Ram. Ram was born in Treta Yuga. Thereafter, that entire Treta Yuga has gone. Thereafter, the Dwapara Yuga has gone. Another avatar took place. By the way, there was another avatar called Krishna. He also came and went. After that, 5,000 years have gone. So you must have been sitting in this samadhi or meditation for such a long time. Now it's too late. So what do we do? So then Yogi Maharaj said, now what do I do? He said, listen, I have been chanting Ramanam, and I have experienced that this Ramanama itself can liberate us. So I will give you Ramanam. So you take this Diksha from me. So this Gondalekar Maharaj gave the Diksha of Ramanam to the yogi, and then the yogi left his body peacefully. Okay. So now from this story, what can we learn? We can learn 2-3 things from this. See, number one, you can be a great yogi, and by becoming expert in yoga, you can live or maintain this body for millions of years. You see, the Kali Yuga is supposed to be 432,000 years. Then the Dwapara Yuga is supposed to be 864,000 years. So you multiply 432,000 years by 2 for Dwapara. Then you multiply by 3 for Treta Yuga. So in Treta Yuga, Ramachandra appeared, right? So this fellow was sitting in meditation from before that. Just imagine. Now, through yoga, you can achieve these kinds of what we call siddhis, or these kind of powers by which you can maintain this body for so many hundreds of thousands of years. Okay, but is that good or is that useful? See, even though the desire for physically meeting Ram or seeing Ram and then bowing down before him and then after that leaving the body, that desire was very noble, all right? But even a noble desire can be binding for us, all right? If we have a noble desire, then we will not be able to leave this world, or we will not be able to get liberation. That is the second lesson. And the third lesson is the Ram Nam, or the chanting of the mantra Ram. That name or that sound, that mantra is much more powerful than the physical Ram. All right. That Ram Nam or that physical or that mantra has gone so deep in our consciousness. It has gone deep in our consciousness even today. All right. That's why we say that if there is no life in something, they'll say there is no Ram in that. Right? Even today, if we meet somebody, then we say Ram Ram. You know what Ram Ram means? R happens to be the 27th letter in our alphabet. Right? R. And then A means R, and then combined with A means Ra, right? This A happens to be the second letter in our alphabet. And then Ma happens to be the 25th letter in the alphabet. So now you can add these up. 27 plus 2 plus 25. How much is it? 54, right? So 54, Ram means 54, and another Ram means another 54, right? So 54 plus 54, how many? 108, right? So remember the mala we have for chanting, that mala happens to be 108 beads. That's the reason. So if you say Ram or Ram Ram, then it is equivalent to doing the entire mala in this Ram Ram. So that's another interesting thing about this Rama mantra. You see, in this Rama Raksha, the main thing is how Rama will protect us, right? So we actually meditate on our own body, which is actually, the stotra says you meditate on Ram's body. So Ram's head and Ram's, forehead, then nose and ears and eyes and all those things, right? So while doing that, they say that we should hold, our hand here, our hand here, our hand on the eyes, our hand on the ears and things like that. Just to make sure that we are focusing on those organs while we are chanting that particular shlok, right? So he says we should start Rama Raksham Pathe Pradnya Papagnim Sarva Kamadam. So we should read this early in the morning, okay? And it will also destroy all the sins and grant all the desires, right? So Shiro me Raghava Patu Bhalam Dasharatad Majaha. So may Rama, Raghu's descendant, protect my head, and may Rama, Dasharatha's son, protect my forehead. So why do we even think of these names while we are thinking of these organs? So I'll tell you a story about the head. All right. So Rama is a descendant of Raghu Vamsha. So the initial king in this whole dynasty was Raghu. So he was supposed to be a very generous king. So whoever went to him would never be rejected or dejected. All right. He would never leave dejected. So therefore, one time he did a big yajna or a sacrifice, after which he donated all of his wealth to everybody. After this yajna, one young boy came. He was a young Brahmin boy who asked the king. Well, he did not ask anything to the king. He just, because he saw that the entire treasury was completely empty because the Raja has just performed the sacrifice or the yajna, and there was nothing left. So then the king was worried. He said, I don't feel good seeing you go without taking anything from me. So what are you looking for? What do you need? He says, you know what? I had gone to my guru. I graduated from my school, from my Gurukula, and I bowed down before my guru, and I told my guru that I would like to give you some Guru Dakshina, okay, my fee for learning from you. So guru said, I don't really need anything from you. You come from a poor family. So, I mean, he didn't say in so many words, but he says, no, it's okay. I'm not expecting any fee from you at all. But then this boy kept insisting. He says, no, Guruji, I have to give you some Guru Dakshina. Otherwise, I will not feel good. Then just out of, half joking, half seriously, the Guru said, okay, then give me 14 crores worth of small gold coins. Now, 14 crores worth of small gold coins, this fellow got really, perplexed. How can I now get these 14 crores worth of gold coins? So then he went to this Raja Raghu. But he said, okay, so you need 14 crores worth of gold coins. You just hold on. Let me see what I can do about it. So now, overnight, the king is thinking that now I'm going to go and attack Kubera. Kubera is the deity of wealth. Okay, so Kubera came to know through intuition or through telepathy that this king, Raghu, is going to come and he's going to attack me. So Kubera got scared, and overnight he simply rained gold coins in front of the king's palace. All right, so in the morning, when the king got up, now he's going to go and get his entire army ready to go attack Kubera, but now he doesn't. He says, all of these coins are right here. So then he calls this boy, he says, come on, here's whatever you need, take all of this and go away. So then this boy says, oh king, this is great. I mean, you have given me this gold, but I don't need all of that. I need only 14 crore coins. So I'll take whatever I need and rest you keep. You do whatever you want. I don't need all that. So the moral of this whole story is, you see, this boy was so honest that he did not really covet any wealth. All he had to do was to give the Guru Dakshina to his Guru. That's all he needed. That's all he took. The rest of it, he kept it there. The second moral of the story is, if you have a really powerful king, then even the deities will be scared of you. All right. When you have this kind of bravery and this kind of honesty in your head, what will happen to you? Your entire life will become beautiful, right? So that's the story of the head. Like that, there are stories of all of these organs. I'm not going to bore you with all the stories, or I don't have even time to tell you all the stories. So anyway, I'm going to go to one of the last verses. He says, if we just chant this Ram Nam, he says, Bharjanam Bhavabijanam Arjanam Sukha Sampadam Tarjanam Yamadutanam Rama Rameti Garjanam. So destructs the cause of rebirth. Bharjanam Bhavabijanam. See, Bhavabija is really the desire of a material or a worldly thing. That desire will make us come back to life, or the desire will not allow liberation, right, to come to us. See, we come in this world, or we come in this body, or we take birth only because we have a desire. All right. So once the desires are completely burned away, then there is no death and there is no rebirth, isn't it? So Bharjanam Bhavabijanam Arjanam Sukha Sampadam. He also will give you Sukha and Sampada. Sukha means happiness and Sampada means wealth. All right. Tarjanam Yamadutanam means it will scare the Yama's messengers, the messengers of the Lord of Death, Yamadut. Rama Rameti Garjanam. So the roar of Rama will scare away the messengers of death. What it really does is it takes away all of our desires. Once the desires go away from our consciousness, or the desires leave us, at that moment itself we are liberated. Because desire is the cause of bandhana, or desire is the cause of binding or bondage. So once we lose our desire, then we are liberated right then. A liberated man knows that he is eternal. He is neither born, nor does he change, nor does he die. So who dies? Only the body disappears, or the body keeps changing all the time. One day the change will be complete. Okay. So the truly wise person, once his entire desires are completely erased, he becomes liberated. That's what this means. So if we meditate on the Ramaraksha Stotram, we understand the meaning of it, and we know that Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varamane. Then by chanting this Ramaraksha Stotra and mantra, we can be liberated, which is the ultimate goal of human life. All right, so it's really wonderful that I was able to share my thoughts with you on such a wonderful day, such an important day in our history. Thank you, Pramod. Thank you, Milind. Thank you, the entire team, for inviting me here. I'll be happy to take any questions if you have.
Thank you,
Pramod, any
Vikram Dada,
questions?
for doing this.
Yeah, most welcome. It's been a pleasure. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. But if we are more interested to understand everything, so is there any way we can understand more in detail?
Yeah, we can understand more in detail, but probably not tonight. I think we should do a separate session for that. Today, I wanted to just give you the introduction.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That will be great. I would be delighted to come back and we will talk about
We'll
it.
set up another call maybe sometime.
Yeah, that will be
One
nice.
weekend maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think people are also interested in word-to-word meaning, understanding of each and every verse.
Sure.
Right? So that might also be helpful.
That will be great. I would study that with you. Actually, I'm not a scholar on Ramaraksha. I'm not a scholar in Sanskrit either. I try to learn these things myself while I'm talking about it. So I'm delighted to learn all of these things along with you. But
That would
whatever
be
we
great.
discussed, we have discussed the Gita in the past. In the Gita also similar principles come, right? So it says the ultimate aim of human life is to know who we are. So we can do that. We can be liberated even if we chant the Rama Raksha mantra, stotra. So if we are chanting this every day, what I would suggest is all of us should try to learn the meaning of it also. Once we learn the meaning of it, then it makes even more sense. And then we will see how it is relevant even today. I'm convinced that it is relevant even today. This Rama Raksha has survived all of these years since Treta Yuga. Calculate, no? 5,000 years now. Then 864,000 years of the Dwapara Yuga. And then before that. So at least 1,000,000 years ago, Rama was born or Rama existed in this world. So somebody who can rule people's hearts for more than 1,000,000 years. Just imagine. Who are we in comparison with all of these guys? See, Ram, when he lived, he was like a human being. He appeared like a human being. He was darker than us. They say he was blue skin. So if you study the Ramayana, if you look at the entire story of the physical Ram, the king Ram, okay, he was born in Ayodhya. Then he was going to be coronated. And the day before that, his stepmother, she had 3 boons from Ram's father, Dasharatha. And because of that, she drove Ram away into the forest. Then in the forest, then Ravana came from Lanka and he kidnapped Sita Mai. And then Ram had to go all the way to Lanka and wage a war and bring her back. And then after that, somebody mentioned that, we don't really believe that she is pure after being in Ravana's prison there or whatever, Ashok Vatika. So then just to purify or to prove her purity, she had to go through what is called the Agni Divya. Then somebody suspected that, something else, and they were talking about, some gossip. Because of that, Ram sent Sita again to the forest, and there in the forest, his 2 children were born. Those 2 children grew up and they waged a war against their father. The father did not even know that they were his children. All of these things, if you see, a series of disasters, one disaster after the other. You see, even if one of those disasters comes in our life, what will be our condition? Ram has gone through all these disasters and kept his equanimity. So this equanimity, even in spite of all of these disasters, that's what we worship. Okay. So the principle of Ram, the principles he propagated or he lived in his life, those principles are really important even today. That is why we worship him, isn't it? So that's what we should remember.
खूपच
Any
सुंदर.
other
But
questions?
definitely आपल्याला will need a big session, I think.
I know.
We need a big session.
How this whole thing is relevant today. For that, of course, we can go through verse by verse also if you want, at another time. But this is great. I'm delighted.
Milind, you want to say something?
Yeah, please.
Thanks.
Yeah, I want to thank Vikram Dada for coming and doing this session. Very, very good session as usual.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention to all the kids is that this Rama Raksha is also a kavach. So kavach is like a shield. So if you chant this Ram Raksha every day, it forms a shield around you and it protects you from all the bad things which are happening around us. So just keep that in mind and chant it. Yeah, that's the only addition I want to make.
I would like to add to that one quick thing. If you chant the Ramaraksha Stotra in your house, not only you and your family are protected, but your near and dear ones who may not be at your house, they may be somewhere else, but they are also protected. It's phenomenal.
Yes, yes. That's the kavach. Yes.
Correct. So great. Thank you,
What-
Milind and Pramod, for inviting me. If there are no other questions, yes, somebody wants to ask a question, was it?
What if you don't know how to say it, but if you listen to it, will even if you listen to it, will your like cousins and grandmother and grandfathers will be protected?
Okay, so if you recite it, then your parents, your cousins, they will be protected. Whether they are listening or not, it doesn't really matter. If you listen, it is great. Because see, we all heard the Ramaraksha Stotram, right? Before we started this talk. Incidentally, that Ramaraksha Stotram was sung by our good friend Rajendra Vaishampayan. He's a close friend of mine. He is a phenomenal character also. He is a good singer. He plays the harmonium really well. He has studied music. He is an IT specialist. He runs a company now in Mumbai called Sonic Octaves. And he has taken up this entire work as a mission, that he has picked up all of these stotra and things like that. He records them and he propagates our cultural heritage. He's a wonderful man. He has also translated the entire Gita in Marathi in the same chanda and all that. He's a wonderful man. He's a humble man in spite of all of these talents and all of this wisdom he has. So I'm delighted to call him my friend. And I'm delighted we played his recording in the beginning. Maybe one of these days we will ask him to come and talk to us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that also would be perfect.
I wanted to ask that if we say it accidentally wrong, will it cause any harm?
Well, we should try to learn to chant properly, because when we chant properly, that's when our diction, our vocal apparatus is purified. So I think you should try to chant it the way it is supposed to be chanted. In fact, the recording we heard, just try to imitate that, because he has sung it perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so delighted our kids are asking questions and they are getting interested in this topic. You see, this is not just a chant, by the way. This chant is okay for right now. You should memorize the chant. You should be able to sing it. I'll tell you one other interesting story, by the way. I know of a young woman who came to New York City to study graduate education in some field. Maybe she was an intern or she was studying medical, something like that. I don't exactly know what she was studying, but she used to do her research and then she used to walk back to her apartment from her building, from her laboratory. Okay. So in the winter, in New York, it gets dark around say 4:30, 5 o'clock. So even if you go home around 6 o'clock, it is quite dark. And sometimes, this was many years ago when it wasn't as safe as it is today to walk on the streets of New York. So at that time, she used to always be very scared to go home. One day she was going home really late because her experiment was delayed in the lab. So she went home and she was just chanting Ramaraksha Stotra all the way from her lab to her home. And then that street was notorious for people getting robbed and all those things. But one of her friends watched her that day. Okay. And next day, that friend asked her, she said, when you were walking home, I saw two really tall and strongly built gentlemen who were walking in front of you. So she said, no, nobody was walking in front of me. See, if you are chanting the Ramaraksha Stotra, you may not notice Rama and Lakshmana. In fact, one of the verses says in the Ramaraksha Stotra that they should be walking in front of me. So these two, other people saw that there were two really well-built men who were walking in front of this girl. But she could not notice it. She was only chanting the Ramaraksha Stotra in her mind. That's all. So Rama and Lakshmana will protect us. In fact, if our faith is strong, this happens even in today's age. Okay. So don't take this lightly. I'm glad you are learning this at this age. Fascinating story, isn't it?
Yeah, fascinating stories, and really our kids are showing so much interest.
Correct. Correct.
I will definitely have to arrange this lecture. आम्हाला असं वाटतंय संपूच नाही तुम्ही बोलताय.
Okay, so before we go, we have discussed serious topics, right? So I'm going to tell you a small funny story. So in the Ramayana, there is a story about Rama killing Vali, right? So there were two Vanara kings. One was Vali and one was Sugriv. They were brothers. And this Sugriv was a good chap. And this Vali was a bit notorious. So this Vali basically snatched the kingdom from his brother Sugriva. So Sugriva went and told Rama, he says, this is what happened, so please help me. So what Rama did, Rama battled, actually killed Vali, and then Sugriva was given the throne and he became the king thereafter. So this Vali had a boon. Vali had done some kind of tapascharya, and then he had a boon from the deity that if anybody comes in front of him to fight him, then half of the opponent's power will be transferred by Bluetooth to Vali. And then what will happen? Then Vali will become 1.5 times. Or, Vali will have his own power, whatever his power used to be, and plus half the power of his opponent. So then his power will become bigger than the opponent's, right? Larger or greater. And then he would kill the opponent. That's how this Vali killed any and all who came to battle him. So Rama actually knew this. So then what did Ram do? Rama, he hid behind a tree, and then from behind the tree, he took his bow and arrow and he killed Vali. All right. So that's the story. Right. So a lot of people say, why did Rama do that? And he killed Vali by deceit and all that. Well, but then what happened is this thing came back to haunt Rama when Rama was reincarnated as Krishna in the next incarnation, right? So then Krishna was also killed by somebody who killed him from behind or something like that, the story goes, right? So anyhow, this Vali kept getting incarnated, and today also he exists. That is called Ghar Wali. So when the husband comes home in front of his Ghar Wali, half of his power goes to the Ghar Wali. So a big tiger in the outside world comes home and becomes a pussycat. So that's the Wali story for us today. All right. So enjoy the rest of your evening. We will take more serious topics the next time.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, then everybody say Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.